Hey everyone, welcome to Fashion Design with Hannah. Today we'll be going over technical packages, otherwise known as tech packs. So these are the golden sheets of the technical design part of the fashion design industry. If you're not familiar with what technical design is, I do have a video out on that, and I'll be linking it in the description below. Tech packs have all of the information that you need for making a style, along with what the factory needs for making a style. So it has all of the sketches, all of the trim details, all the construction details, and all the measurements. So I'll be getting into that so you can see exactly what is going into it. I really wish I knew this as a fashion design student because it would have helped me so much more for doing all of the fitting that we needed to do. So without further ado, let's get into the tech packs. The most important thing to start off with is at least a front view sketch, which you can put all the other views elsewhere, and your reference number. You need those on every page or some other sketch so that everyone's on the same page with what you're working with. You can then also add a group description if you are sending multiple things, and a description for the exact item itself. I highly recommend a naming method just so you can keep the descriptions consistent for both you and the factories. So here I have a short sleeve dolman top with twist front and then rib trim at the neckline. As we come down to the sketch, you'll see that I have these letters and arrows pointing to different details of the sketch. I'll put one in here for you so you can see what I do for that. And just draw a line and add an arrowhead, just like a basic red color, so that way it's very obvious that it's there. These markings come in handy later when it comes to noting the construction details in the second page of the tech pack. And before I go any further, make sure you mention the season along with the sizing group, which this is for Missy. You can also list what type of item it is, but the most important thing here is content, quality, and weight of whatever fabric you're doing. You can also mention TBD, which is to be determined, but have some sort of goal fabric, as I put here, baby French terry. You'll also add a size breakdown once you know your production ratios, and you can also add in an original sample reference if you have something that you want the factory to refer to, so they know what your end goal is. Then you can also add in a fabric number if you really want to, for keeping organized, along with a pattern or print number. Here's something as an example. Labels are important since that goes into pricing. I put ML here for the main label, which would go on the center back neck. You can also do like a hang tag here at the side, or a content label that goes down at the bottom. You'll definitely mention the trims as well. So you'll have like self fabric at the neck. I have DTM, which is dyed to match rib, and clear elastic for a hanger loop. You can go ahead and add in a counter sample color, which is the color you want the sample to be in as well, if that's what you're doing. And now we'll move on to the main part of the tech packs, which are the measurements. This is why the tech packs are golden. You can add a code to them as well, so that way it's very clear that this measurement is from here to here, so that way people who are viewing this who have a different language as their main language know exactly what you're talking about. It's nice to leave a sample column for yourself, so that way you can mark all the measurements for the sample that came in and compare them to the initial development spec that you wanted them to do. Also mark the tolerance of each measurement. Something like a body length will be about 1/2 inch, and something like a placement should be a lot more accurate, so 1/4 inch. On to the next page, make sure you still have your sketch, reference number, group and season that you have, and yes, the measurements can go into a second page, but for now we'll go into the more detailed description of the trims. For instance, you'll see here the width of the rib along with where it's placed. Trust me when I say trim details need to be very specific. So you see that I mentioned 2x2 rib. Another example is heat seal, rhinestones versus rhinestuds. Along that line of specifics, you'll want to mention pricing for the colors. So I said solid, heather, and print. Then you'll need to mention how to construct the garment. Yes, you need to know how to construct it. That is what makes a good designer. For the instructions, this is where the lettered breakdown on your sketch comes into play. It makes it more clear which part you're talking about for the factory and for yourself. So you can have here something like The rib neckband on fold, clean finish to the body. This is where it's just a nice clean seam. You can maybe add stitching to the outside of the seam. You can also say a turn back hem, that's the usual hem. You can shorthand it to TB. DNTS is double needle top stitch, that's your standard finish on a hem. If you feel like you need it, you can also add in the general construction. Most of the time it's just going to be overlock. You can maybe even add in a hanger loop. Definitely make sure you mark the date that you created this though, as it will be a key for possibly a dispute with a factory and also good for your general records. You can also add your measuring guide on this page. If not, you can make it a bigger scale and put it on a separate page. And last but not least, you can go ahead and add in a larger version of your sketch on a separate page. This is great so that way the factory can truly see all the details of the sketch, not just a tiny thumbnail image. Also make sure that you still have the correct description on each page. I put this in there for myself just to show you how easy it is to possibly forget if you're copying and pasting from previous tech packs. Also make sure to have your reference number on there as well, along with the season and group that you're doing it for, along with the date. Don't be afraid to add in any reference images as well. Just make sure that you note what they are there for. This helps the factory out if they don't have a sample to actually see in front of them. Just make sure that you label what it's there for. So this image would be there for the twist front at the hem. Also make sure that the images aren't pixelated, as this helps everybody out. As you can see, there are a lot of details that go into tech packs, but that's not without reason. This is so everyone is on the same page from the get-go, especially when it comes to pricing, because this is the most important part of pricing. It's all of the measurements and all of the trims. If you did find some of this information useful and you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. I'll be giving out more fashion insider information gems along the way. I'll also be doing a video on how to spec a garment. So stay tuned for that, and thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye! Hit that subscribe button and you'll be getting more insider fashion and